Today is Tuesday, July 25th, and you're listening to the Beer Temple Podcast.
Remember, this is what we wanted. Remember, this is what we said. To never be heard or seen from again. Remember, this is what we wanted. Remember, this is what we said. To never be heard or seen from again.
Hello, and welcome to the Beer Temple Podcast. I'm your co-host from Is Was Brewing, Mike Shalal. I'm here with the other co-host, Chris Quinn from the Beer Temple. Chris, how you doing?
Let's try this again. Hopefully it goes better than last time.
That one's never going to air, right?
Yeah, I don't think so.
It was only about 20 minutes.
About 20 minutes.
Then we heard a big bang.
Yep, and I didn't think anything of it.
No.
And then somebody came in and was pantomiming a whole bunch of stuff. And
Yeah.
still didn't think too much of it. And then apparently somebody had impaled their foot on the stem of a piece of glassware.
Yeah.
And needed to be taken to the ER.
Yeah.
So that's what I did.
So we cut the show short.
And you decided not to do a one-man show.
That's true. I was not
You
a
decided to clean up blood instead and glass.
Yeah, I did end up cleaning up blood and glass. I don't even work here. I probably shouldn't have been doing that, but
Yep. Sucker.
it needed to be done.
Yeah.
So
that was an interesting end to the show.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And then last week,
Probably one of our better endings, to be honest.
all the guests, I won't say exactly who, but we were going to do an independent distributors show.
Yeah, I won't say exactly who, but I'll narrow it down to two people.
Well, I'll say all of them were going to be in person, and then two of them said, well, I can't be there in person. And then two of them, not necessarily the same two, then within 24 hours were like, yeah, I can't come. So I was like, okay, cool, thanks.
And I was out of town.
And you were out of town. So I was like, okay, I could have one person Zoom in.
Just
That'll be a great
just
show.
do a one-on-one.
Right.
We've been trying to do
That show.
any sort of distribution show.
Yeah. But especially
Indie only,
the indie one
all
would
of
be
them,
good.
where it's not just you talking a bunch of smack about your
Yeah.
distributors.
And then the week before, we were going to have this show. It was like the day before the Anchor News was supposed to break, and we were going to speculate.
Mm-hmm.
And I was going to speculate exactly right, by the way, as it turns out. But, you know,
Yeah.
that one got taken
Lost
from
to
me.
the ether.
Yeah. So we missed the boat on the Anchor News. We'll see what happens with that one. I will quickly say, you can even go around if anyone wants to speculate. I think it's going to be, I think one of my predictions was, it's just going to become a brand that will be traded around. I think the Anchor name will be, you know, someone will pick it up, maybe a private equity firm, and then it'll just be sold and sold and sold. It'll become the American Bass Ale, where it's just like once was this thing that had some importance, and it'll just be a name that'll be, you know, who brews them now? Oh, I thought Narragansett does it. No, now it's with, you know, whatever capital group.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to be a tough beer for any of those people to taste anything like it, but I don't know if they care about that.
Yeah, I don't think they care either. What's up?
I have a prediction.
What's your prediction?
I think somebody will buy the brand and they'll open it up as taproom only sales.
Okay.
Yeah.
In San Francisco.
In San Francisco area.
Okay, but not the old original place necessarily.
No. To buy that property is $80 million.
It's a steal.
Yeah. I mean,
We tried to go there.
Can't afford not to, really.
It's not a pretty
at
steep hill. I don't know if
that
that's the
price, you
prime
could
real
fit
estate.
like 5 modern times in there.
Yeah, wow. And look how well they're doing. Well, I guess we're not doing a round table, so we don't have to introduce people in classic round table fashion. So,
Right.
Nick Pankey, how are you? Rev Brewing.
Excellent.
What's up? Who's on your shirt?
Greatest living musician, John Mayer.
Oh, that's John Mayer. Yeah, that's right.
Got him.
Yeah. You know where he grew up.
Elgin.
Fairfield, Connecticut.
Fairfield, Connecticut. Okay.
Took guitar lessons from Hot Rod Al Ferrante.
Wow.
Taught me guitar.
The Hot Rod Alferante?
The Hot Rod
Same-
Alferante.
Same hometown as Mike Shalal.
Sydney Lauper and Edgar Winter fame. Yeah, taught me how to play the guitar too.
Wait, did he really?
Yeah.
John Mayer taught you how to play the guitar?
No, not John Mayer. Alferante.
Oh.
Hot Rod Alferante.
Hot Rod Alferante.
Okay,
So
I don't
you was it ever like when you were walking in? Was John Mayer ever like walking out having
He's
just had a lesson?
little bit older than me.
I
So
was saying like he was, he was,
by the time I started playing guitar, his first album was already out. So I
you're
can't say
never too old to learn.
It's true.
it's a good point.
Yeah,
It's a great point.
maybe he'd be even better if he had kept up with those lessons. a
Yeah,
little
he really
longer.
stinks.
Yeah. Well, what's new with you, Nick?
Not a whole lot.
Okay.
Really, just trying to survive the summer. Taking a lovely brewery maintenance class through the MBAA.
Oh,
So I get to go up to Minneapolis here in a couple weeks for my in-person week.
Get
That's
your-
cool.
Your
Yeah.
squeegee technician certificate.
Yeah.
Nice.
Learn how
cool.
to clean, wipe, spray with alcohol,
wax on, wax off.
grease.
You learn about different size of gaskets.
No, not different size of gaskets, but different size of
That's
pipes.
202.
Okay.
You're only in 101.
About
If you
din
plan- if-
fittings.
I have a question about gaskets.
If you
But
plan the
dance fittings
brewery
are-
correctly enough, you can use the same size of pipe throughout the whole thing. No, you can't, but-
A 1.5 inch water main should be fine.
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, thanks for coming on, Nick. We're excited for the show. Now, Mike, you have a family. It's not your dad this time.
Have a family?
A family member on the show.
Oh, my brother.
Yeah, your brother.
Yeah,
Your
my
brother
brother
in dust. And I brought you guys a little welcome.
Oh, hell
So we got
some stovepipes. Oh, we gotta invest these.
I got a zombie ice and a zombie stovepipe. Those, both stovepipes.
These are
I know you
cold.
guys.
This one is dented. Probably the worst I've seen a can dented.
Yeah,
That's rare.
Yeah,
That's
that makes
sign
it
of
rare.
personal.
Thank
So,
you. Oh my
Buster,
gosh.
yeah.
Thank you so much, Chris.
I know that you. I mean, I
is
was
from-
really influenced by your 3-part series on the move to stovepipe cans that you guys did on the Zombie Dust Radio Hour.
Thank you.
Thank you. That was our best work, I think.
And you know what I liked about it is you left me wanting more.
That's right.
Yep.
You know,
Yeah.
You know, you could have gone longer, but you're like, you know what? I think 3 eps is enough on
all respect to
this
the dust.
format of can.
I was I did an event this weekend. We did this thing called Malt Row on Ravenswood, something
Yeah.
where we were pouring beer and we had some volunteers helping us, and a lovely woman was helping us who was not a huge beer person but liked pale ales.
Sure.
And then I was like, what do you like? Mm-hmm. And guess what she said?
Bubblegum face.
Nope.
Oh,
Zombie dust.
nice.
All right.
I was like, and I just said, of course you do.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course you do.
We're doing
a person with
Should see my portfolio.
maximum taste.
Yeah.
We're doing a pale ale
geez.
competition here at the Beer Temple.
This is the April 13th edition.
Oh wow.
Great
Wow.
batch. One of the
Ooh,
best.
that's a little old.
Yeah.
For you, maybe.
yeah, for you.
Not for the real
And refrigerated.
appreciators.
This lid is even pointed up and to the right.
Yeah. There you go. It knows.
Yeah, it knows.
What
So
I like,
anyway,
what I
you're
like
welcome.
about the damaged cans is it helps the artwork. I think really come through in a different level.
More
It makes
of a multi-medium experience.
yeah
now.
right a multimedia.
It's grungy.
It's like it could have been used in a Dungeons and Dragons campaign. So maybe like when you touch that can,
Right.
you get the memories of.
of the
campaign.
zombie king.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's go.
Yeah. Grip it and rip it. That's what I say.
Popping these bad boys. You're not cellaring these.
Oh, no, I guess I am. The can broke, so see you in the
There
cellar.
you go. There you are. Yeah, that's what you do when it just leaks a little bit. This is perfect for the cellar. So there you go. So it's good to have the
It's great to
the
be
Dust
back.
Brothers back.
The last time I was in this room was last week. Right before you did your podcast, we were taping another episode
Didn't do a
of,
podcast last.
right.
of the radio hour.
Well, I wanted to. I canceled it.
What episode was that for us?
I don't have my notes in front of me. I apologize.
I think you're up
Yeah.
into 500s.
Yeah, I think that might have been 6 something.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, we're
Wow.
Get
You put in a
ready
lot.
for episode 666, my friends. Just saying.
It might be an
Just-
will we
That's why
talk
you're
will we
banking
talk
on-
about Alpha King finally? Maybe. But we'll see.
I mean, it would be appropriate. I mean, that's the alcoholic percentage of Alpha King.
That's
in case
true.
you didn't
Many
know
people
that.
are saying this.
I don't think it's called it's not an Alpha King Radio Hour, though. I don't know.
I know.
No.
I know. We'll talk about it. We've got
We've been talking about it for
How
almost a
long is that
decade
show going
now.
to go? You guys doing just the standard 2-hour show, or is it going to be?
I think it has to be 666 minutes.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah. It's an hour marathon set.
Obviously. A power 666 minutes.
Yeah,
Right.
11 hours.
Oh, 11 hours. That's what I said. Right.
Yeah.
Great.
We'll take
11
we're gonna
hours.
drink 66.6 milliliters of a beer every second.
I was hoping you guys,
Every second. Let's go.
when you guys said it was a multi-part on the stovepipe, I was hoping you were going to do a 19.2 hour series
It was.
on it, but no, it was
Did you
only
not listen
3.
to the whole thing?
Oh, well, maybe I missed.
Just 3 episodes, but
Yeah, okay. I guess I missed out on some of it. So I listen to it when I go to sleep. So
Yeah.
yeah.
sometimes
dulcet- the
I
dulcet
wake.
tones.
I woke up and it was still going. So I was like,
Like old
I
Rip
must
Van
have
Winkle. How long
paused
have I been asleep?
exactly.
20 hours.
It was all is very exciting for me.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Riveting stuff.
Thank
if we
you,
do
Chris.
Say so
yeah,
ourselves.
you're welcome. How's it tasting? Is it tasting good?
As good as ever.
Yeah.
Good. I'm glad.
Yeah. Of course I would like some. Thank you so much.
So, should we talk about beers that we've had, or should we just get right into the reason for this for the ep, the raison d'Epstra?
The only beer I'm here to talk about, honestly, besides Zombie Dust,
Be honest.
is Fathead's Headhunter.
What do you want to
So,
say about it?
It's the best. Like I'm sorry, it's so lame to talk about it, but it's
What
so
makes you
good.
Well,
want to
why
come
would-
in and
what
say
do-
it?
why
Have you
would you
had
say
any?
it's lame?
Yeah.
What's that?
Why do you say it's lame to talk
I'm
about
just
how good it is?
I don't know. I feel like I have like 4 beers on the planet, and that's just one of them. Every time I have it and it's fresh, I just can't. There's just not really any beers I drink where I'm like, this gives me everything that I want.
Yes.
It's perfect.
So
I agree.
It's so great.
Some say it's the new. Never mind.
Nah, no. I don't know who says that. But I do have a
Eric might be
question.
saying
How did you feel when you answer this honestly? How did you feel when you heard, if you felt anything, that it had won gold at the World Beer Cup this past year?
I was 0% surprised.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, duh. About time Charlie got one right. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Bayesian.
The same way I feel when like Allagash White wins gold.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, or Pivo used to. I don't know if Pivo still
Right.
wins as much because I feel like
doesn't.
They had to
that
make
used
it
to
its
be
own
more
category so it wouldn't win.
Sure. But I mean, it really is. I think like the version of that style that I don't really know. For them being, no offense to anybody, but for them not being on the West Coast, for them to like nail something that specifically, really, I think it's really impressive. I'm being sincere.
You don't
for
find
2 seconds.
Stop.
so sorry.
Yeah, stop it.
Thank you.
You don't find a lot of similarities between suburban Cleveland, Ohio, and San Diego.
I haven't been to Cleveland in a while, so maybe there's something. Maybe it's changed a bit.
A lot of flap rims you might not expect.
I think it's ex-urban. I mean, I don't even know if it could be considered. Middleburg Heights could be a suburb of Cleveland. But
Also, sorry, I also got to drink fresh Blind Pig at Russian River a few
Oh.
weeks ago, and that was also
Oh.
really great. So I like IPAs. I'm cool, guys.
yes.
Really revolutionary over here.
Did you have any Pliny?
I did,
Okay.
but that was the first time where I was like, "Oh, Blind Pig fresh." Now I
Got
get
it. Yeah.
So
Now I
it
got
was
it.
really cool. Anyways,
What about you, Chris?
I turned 40 soon.
Oh,
Can you
good.
tell?
Yeah, no, you're not at all panicked sounding.
Not making any crazy decisions.
So, what about me?
What about you?
Going to scratch this weekend.
Nice.
Going to shoot down and back.
Oh.
So I'm excited to have those beers.
When are you leaving?
Saturday morning. Why?
Okay, I want to send them some beers.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Saturday morning.
Cool.
You want to recap these dusts or?
Yeah, why don't you recap them real quick?
I'm saying like we could we could send some of these
Put the
zombies.
cap back on to send down to them.
Yeah, or we could put them in a.
Do you think they've had zombie dust?
Oh, it's so funny. I thought you meant something completely different when you said recap it.
Oh, no, we'll save that for the next step of our show. Sorry, didn't mean different kind of recap.
No, and I thought of an even third different way. I thought you were going to re-rate them on Untapped.
Yeah.
I call that recapping it. If you've
we do
already
that.
rated it, but then you want to go in and
I mean,
hit 5 again,
we do that every time.
I call that recapping.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I edit the same
So that's my
review
bad.
of zombie dust every time. And just put edit. Still banging.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you're going to scratch.
So I'm going to scratch. So that's what I'm looking forward to doing.
Nice.
I had your beers over the weekend. They were delicious. They were my favorite at the Beer Fest.
Nice. That's I gave them to you for free. Don't tell the Raven
I got-
Chamber of Commerce.
I got all the
How are
beers
they
there
gonna
for
make
free.
it?
Whoa.
So there
Big
you
guy
go.
over here getting free beers.
Yeah, there you go.
Nice. That makes me feel good.
Yeah. Yeah, it was very good. I still have to have the Focal, though, which we have on draft, so
Yeah.
I will do that shortly
You said
after the show.
I offered it to you, and you said no. I'm going to tick it when I have it on draft at my own store.
Yeah.
I'll recap it then.
Yeah.
I'll just cap
I'll just
it.
cap it. I don't want to recap it. I don't have to recap this.
Yeah. And I'd already had the review ready to go. I had my thumb right on the one bottle cap and was like ready to submit.
Damn.
Yeah.
Thanks, Darren.
So why are we here? This is the first
Nick,
show of
do we
its
not want to talk
kind.
about the beer that I've had?
Oh. Yes, I do want to talk about that.
I was in Louisville. Louisville.
You said it right.
Louisville. This past weekend, and we went to a brewery called Monic, and they made some nice. They had a great draft list of like some Belgian beers, some English beers, and then some IPAs. It wasn't a
All theirs.
straight. Yeah, all theirs.
That's cool.
It's in this cool old house, and I had a great saison there. And then my fiance, without me suggesting anything, ordered a mild.
Oh.
And that's why I took a picture of it and sent it to you and Serge. I'm like, look at this. She's like, why do you want a picture of this? I'm like, reasons.
Can I, if we get this show out reasonably soon, this will be a call out for people. Another beer that I had recently that was really good. I was at Lachette's, and they had just put on a fresh keg of Eyinger Jahrhundert, and it was amazing. It was the best I can remember that beer tasting. It's kind of like their unfiltered Keller beer type thing, light lager, pale lager, not light lager. So good, so amazing. I mean, they have a lot of good beer on, but I just was like, well, I'm just going to drink this beer and only this beer. So that's another. Yeah, it's great. So
And
if
that
you're
place
in the
rocks.
area, and you have the means, I highly suggest you pick one up. Okay.
Did we do Panky? Did you talk about a beer?
No.
Oh.
You don't have to if you.
No. We went on a pretty long bike ride as a group on Saturday and stopped by Half Acre on the way back and tried some of theirs. I hadn't been to Half Acre in a while, and I hadn't had the Green Torch, their lime lager.
Yeah.
And it was pretty nice on a hot day after a bike ride.
That beer's made for.
Still makes me miss Vader in cans, but yeah, it was a cool space. We had a good time and good beer.
Cool. You were way up there.
Super far.
Yeah.
We rode all the way to Evanston, for God's sakes.
Well, that's your
That's
own
in
fault.
Is that in Wisconsin?
Might as well be.
I actually live like less than half a mile from Half Acre.
Yeah. No, I know. I could walk there if I wanted to.
Yeah.
Okay. So the reason we're here is because we're doing our first ever movie episode.
That's right.
Yeah.
Everyone knows that there's a lot of great beer media
Yeah.
Which I'm kidding.
That's kind of like one of the things that beer's
There's
known
not
for.
enough people talking about movies.
That's right.
Right. Exactly.
Dude, we're 4 white guys with podcasts. We know what we haven't talked about yet? Movies.
Right.
And then
Nobody
next
else
week,
does
Next
it.
week's going to be true crime.
Exactly. Right. Well, it was supposed to be after our show and then the distributor show, and then we'll do a lighthearted one.
Yeah,
Instead,
yeah.
it was just a long break.
Yeah.
And now we have the
Now we're
movie
back
show.
with our best content yet.
I promised people that was it was supposed to be different, but it's okay. We'll be back, and I'm looking forward to doing this show. So, so for the first show, so what we'll do is we'll talk a little bit about it. We'll go through the movie, and then we'll just talk about the movie, right?
Yeah.
Beer movie.
Talk about movie. Talk about beer.
So, how are we going to introduce what movie? I think you had a specific way you wanted to introduce
Yeah.
the movie, right?
We're gonna play the trailer for you guys.
Let's go.
Somewhere, behind granite battlements, beyond impenetrable gates, indoors, something evil is brewing, and it isn't Elsinore beer.
You know what it is yet, guys?
Here, an unsuspecting heiress has become the innocent pawn of a diabolical genius. At his command, space-age super lasers that can incinerate an entire metropolis. An army of deadly hockey warriors. At his fingertips, lots of beer.
Just one more test, and then we are ready for the world.
What fool dares stand in his way?
Good day, I'm Bob McKenzie. This is my brother Doug. How's it going, eh? Welcome to our movie, eh?
At last, television's Dave Thomas and Rick Moranis have just hit
Dave.
the great white screen. These are the adventures of Bob and Doug McKenzie. Strange Brew.
That's private company business.
Perhaps one of these would refresh your memory, eh?
The gallant champions of truth.
He's lying, all right.
I don't need no machine to tell me that. Hey, I didn't do it, I swear.
It must be them.
Justice.
I think it's time the little lady and I had a chat.
And the pursuit of bad guys.
We will move towards Oktoberfest as planned,
I can't believe it. He drank it all.
Oh,
and I will not underestimate our little friends again.
With Max von Sydow.
Shut up! Shut up! Shut up!
Paul Dooley.
You murdered him first, and he was already dead when I killed him.
Lynn Griffin.
If I didn't have puke breath, I'd kiss you.
And an all-star cast.
Take off, you old. You take off, you
Take
know.
off, you poser.
Okay.
Don't miss the biggest, the grandest, the first Mackenzie Brothers movie of all time. The Adventures of Bob and Doug McKenzie.
I'd like to thank the Academy.
That's it. We're leaving, kids.
Strange Brew.
You hoser, they wanted to see our movie, now they're mad at us. Take off. It's only a preview, eh? I didn't want to show them the best part.
Okay, so that's our topic for today. So good day.
All right. So obviously the movie is Strange Brew. It came out in, you said 83?
83. So
Yeah.
just warning, this is going to be full spoilers. If you haven't seen this movie, you had
You've had-
40.
You've
you
had
had 40 years.
You've had 40 years.
Yeah. So
Yeah. So that was this is the first beer movie that we decided
Yeah.
to perhaps the granddaddy of beer movies.
great movie.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. We'll see if it was. If
Oh,
it was a
sorry.
great movie.
That was the spoiler.
Yeah, that was the
Spoiler for my opinions.
Yeah. So, have you guys all seen? Have you guys seen this movie before? Ever?
I had seen like clips. Like we play this in our tap room a lot. So I've seen scenes and I've seen clips. I've never
heard
had the pleasure
Okay.
to sit down for 93 minutes of just nonstop comedy.
I'd seen it like when I was a kid.
I saw it a bunch of times when I was a kid.
I didn't remember like most of it when I was rewatching it.
There were scenes I remembered. I didn't remember the dialogue necessarily, but It'd probably been 20 years at least for me.
Yeah, all I remember is like, oh, they talk funny. Like,
Yeah.
I was like, eh?
How about you, Eric? You ever seen it?
So great question. Thanks for asking. So my dad had a very small vinyl collection that I listened to a lot when I was growing up, and there was like 3 albums I listened to all the time: "Off the Wall" by Michael Jackson, "Back in Black" by AC/DC, and
Hybrid Theory,
"The Great White North" by Bob and Doug McKenzie. So that was like a record, and like those characters were people that like were in my childhood, but I didn't really get to the movie until probably high school. Like I'm sure I like watched it with my dad because he watched the same like 20 movies all the time, but
Right.
hadn't seen it in quite some time.
That's interesting because they even reference their comedy album in the movie, and they're from like SCTV,
which
right?
was Second City TV, but it was a Canadian thing,
right?
And
that album sold like 3 or 4 million copies.
Oh, really?
It was a huge
Very
album.
It must have been huge enough for them to get a movie.
That's how they got the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was massive.
So it was like the original kind of like Wayne's World. It seemed to me
Yeah.
like, because I've never seen the skit, I've never heard
Oh, really?
the album, I've only seen the movies.
Oh,
The movie.
Well, they one of the songs on the album is the 12 Beers
Oh,
of Christmas.
songs. Oh,
Yeah.
I have heard that.
Yeah,
I have heard that.
I bet
song.
you've had, because like if you're listening to like a classic rock station around Christmas time and they're playing Christmas songs, a lot of them are probably not good, but the 12 Beers of Christmas for me, it's like instant nostalgia.
5 gold beers. Isn't that what
5 golden toques.
5 golden toques. But and a beer.
And a beer.
And a beer. That's
Yeah.
what it is. Yes.
First day of Christmas, my true love gave to me a beer.
A beer. Yeah, so we'd all seen it. It'd all been a while. I definitely saw this as a kid too, and you know what? Luckily for me, my humor has not really developed at all. So everything was as funny on as many levels as when I saw it as a child.
it was
So
laugh riot.
yeah. So I say we get into it and we can just comment on it. I mean, we don't need to be talking literally about the plot. We can just talk about like, I don't know, grander ideas about the movie or about beer movies in general or whatever as we go. But I'll just start going and as it kind of brings anything to mind, just kind of speak up. So I just kind of took notes as I was watching the movie, and I have to say, from literally second 2 of the movie, you know exactly what you're getting into because it comes up with the classic MGM lion, and then the lion burps, like a human, beer burp. And then I think they like pan the camera around, and I think they really are like cranking the lion's tail to make it.
Yeah,
to
seems
make
like it.
That lion had to be so drugged up.
I mean,
But
I was
they
surprised.
comment on that too, right? They're like, "You're pretty doped up, huh?"
Yeah. So there's an actual lion, and it basically then starts as the skit, right? I mean, it's just
their
basically the
movie.
skit. Yeah, it's them sitting there, and then basically their movie is them. It's a skit where they say, "All right, and now we're going to debut our movie," which is on like 16 millimeter or like a home movie.
Yeah,
reel,
it's like a home sci-fi movie.
Yeah. So they give a little bit of that. It was very Wayne's World-esque. It was the two of them sitting there, their brothers, they're
Wayne's
Canadian.
World is very Strange Brew-esque. I feel like this was
Yes.
first, so.
Yes. But
Burn on you, Chris. Burn on
two
you.
Canadian brothers who essentially their life revolves around acquiring and consuming beer, almost as like
And donuts.
donuts as a
Back bacon.
like
And
a
back bacon.
necessity
That was
for
in the movie.
life. But beer is like a necessity. It's like a core necessity to their existence.
And
It's
to
not
their
that
food of E.
And to
Right.
their family too. And the whole like movie, like the whole like plot revolves initially around a case of beer for their dad.
Right. So like
exactly.
it does this double meta thing, right? Where like they start off being like meta, talking to the camera about how like, oh, you're gonna watch our movie now.
Then they show the
Then
movie.
they show the movie, and then we cut back into the theater.
Right.
And
Right.
Like, and it's
Right,
just
and then they break the fourth wall. So they had some great lines. I mean, one line that I laughed at was when I think it was Dave. It was a Dave Thomas, but
not the Wendy's guy.
But he would be Doug McKenzie.
Yeah.
He burped. He like grabbed his neck. He's like, oh, I'm getting whiplash from my burps. Like that's a pretty good one. So then basically breaks the fourth wall because the home movie breaks, and then they're just sitting there. Presumably, the whole movie is them just like effing around trying to fix the movie and like eating popcorn and stuff. But then the crowd starts to get angry. So it cuts to that, and then they're in the theater.
Right. And in the home movie, they talk about how, like, one way to get out of a movie is to bring a jar of moths.
Yeah.
And to release them.
So then they cause a riot, and everyone asks for their money back, and they're confronted by a guy and his kids in the alley who was like, they saved their money, their allowance for a month to see this.
Yeah.
And then Bob says, here, you can have, here's
only $15.
Yeah, but here. And then he made a huge mistake because that was the money their dad gave him to go get beer. Mm-hmm. And that's how the whole thing starts because they gave away their beer money.
Right.
And that really is the that's the dilemma of the movie.
The inciting incident.
The inciting incident is he felt bad that someone went and saw their movie and it sucked, so he gave them dad's beer money.
Right. But
then, now they have to get the beer.
And additionally, they used their last beer in the house to give to their dog Hosehead.
Right.
Yes, they went home and they gave it. So then they poured the dog's beer
back into a cup.
Which was revolting.
Yeah.
And they gave it to their dad.
Worst adjunct I've seen yet.
Yeah.
Did you guys notice who voiced their dad, by the way?
No.
Mel Blanc, the Looney Tunes guy. Yeah.
Bugs Bunny.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, you guys didn't pick up on that? You know how they were watching Looney Tunes?
Oh, I didn't know. That's deep.
So it's like you see the back of their head, they're watching Looney Tunes, and the voice was Mel Blanc of their
But
dad.
not the actor, just the voice.
Just the voice. It was just
That's
the
why
voice.
you never see his face, probably.
Right. But he's kind of sounded like, Yosemite Sam-esque. It sounded like him.
Yeah.
So then, but even before that, I made a list of things that you could not get away with. So they have to drive away from the mob. They get into the van, and one of the brothers yells at the other one and tries to turn him into a cop for drunk driving. It's like, oh, sir, he's drunk. He's driving drunk. He's like, no, I'm not. Couldn't even make that joke.
No.
Nowadays.
No.
Which was also something I thought their approach to beer drinking and drunkenness is something that you don't really see nowadays. Maybe like you saw it in Cheers, which was also probably like 40 years ago.
Yeah.
But it's like they're always drinking, but they're never like drunk.
They're goofy.
They're goofy.
They're not drunk.
Yeah.
Right. Yes. Which was interesting because now in later movies, it's all about like Frank the Tank,
Right.
old school, like getting hammered.
Like disappointment. Oh,
Right. No, these are functional alcoholics.
Exactly.
Yeah. Lighthearted functional alcoholics.
Right. But I mean, they never show anybody in the entire movie, including when somebody drinks 6,000 gallons of beer in one sitting. Nobody's ever drunk.
Spoiler alerts.
Right. Nobody's ever drunk. Did you guys notice that?
I mean, they're drunk the whole time, though.
But they're not like...
They're buzzed the whole time, I guess.
Yes, but they're not like... you don't see any like physical effects of them being drunk. They're not like stumbling. They're not like slurring their speech.
Right.
They're not... doing
well,
any
they're
of that
Canadian.
stuff.
It would be hard to tell if they're slurring.
I think they are, actually.
They just talk real slow.
Hoser.
Oh, hey.
Take off.
Yes. I found that interesting and probably something that you might not. I don't know if you. I guess you could still do that today, but you wouldn't. Now it's all about like you drink to get. The movies that revolve around beer are around like partying and like getting hammered and stuff like that. Yeah. Beer Fest and whatever those other movies are.
Have you seen the movie Drunk?
No.
We'll probably do it at some
point.
Okay.
Is that the one about
the
teachers?
Yeah.
Yeah. I wanted to see that.
Yeah. So anyway.
You could also probably kind of differentiate that by, is it an American movie or is it European movie? Like,
sure.
European movies seem to treat drunkenness as more of like a fun pub culture-esque,
Yeah.
Whereas American movies view it as like someone who has lost control and is going to cause an issue.
Right. But already in like the first like 10, 15 minutes, they've made a drunk driving joke and they fed an animal beer.
Yeah. Right.
And the animal obviously loves beer.
Loves beer, yeah.
Like hates
it's not the first time they've
beer.
given this dog beer.
No, the dog demands beer.
Yeah. Snarls at them.
And his name is Hosehead.
So our heroes our heroes have no beer money and
have
yet
no
their
beer
dad
money.
demands that they go get beer the next day.
Yeah, because they broke the glass with the last beer in it, the dog bowl beer.
Thank God.
Yeah.
Because just like I was watching it and it had been a while. I was like, if someone even pretends to drink that pretend like
dog bowl
I'm
beer,
gonna get
sick.
It
was very
so
graphic.
disgusting.
If this was an Adam Sandler movie, someone's drinking that beer.
Chunky and
so chunky.
Gross.
There was dog food in it, like wet dog food. It had like, yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. XXL Alpo.
So what I wonder is how do they? So later in the movie, it's like it's referenced that they don't have jobs. How are they supplying their drinking habits before this movie begins? Because when at the studio, in the very beginning of the movie, there's cases and cases of empty beer bottles and a bunch of beer on the table. And what I wonder is like, well, how do they get that beer?
Right.
That movie, they spent it all entire movie's budget on beer. I'm guessing,
and they don't have jobs.
They don't have
Yeah, they don't
Is
have
their
jobs.
job their TV show? I don't need
so.
to know all this stuff. I'm just
I
like
feel like
saying it's just kind of
in the
funky.
world of that.
I'm not like
I
a
feel
plot hole guy, but
the TV show is more of a public access thing, right?
Right,
Like
exactly.
It is like very much Wayne's World is cribbing from this in a lot of ways.
1,000,000%.
But like, I don't think they get paid to do the show.
No, exactly. Right.
But who would do like a show every week for like an hour or two where you don't get paid?
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know. Some kind of idiot. Yeah. Oh, time to do the podcast.
Gotta go, honey.
Yeah. So they have to get beer, and they have to come up with a couple ways to try to get beer. One of which they had mentioned earlier in the movie, which was a scam to put a baby mouse in a bottle of beer and I guess have it grow up inside, kind of like the French do with like those pear liqueurs.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
but with a living mouse.
Yeah.
So you have a mouse in a bottle and you bring it to a liquor store.
Yeah.
Which are state run?
It seemed like it. I mean, the
Right,
guy
sorry,
was
I
in
didn't
like
mean to interrupt you.
No,
So-
you're not. You're not. Please.
That one that
Canada's like the
is a
Utah
chain
of North America.
Yeah, that one's a chain
liquor
that
and
actually
beer.
exists, but they wouldn't let them film it, so they had to rebuild an exact replica of it. I did some research.
Wow.
That makes
Amazing.
one of us.
They wouldn't let them use the name, so they just called it the Beer Store.
Okay.
And later, that company that in 1983 wasn't called the Beer Store rebranded to be the Beer Store.
That's amazing.
It's no one knows it was because of the popularity of the movie, but I'm gonna say it's because of the popularity of the movie.
That's funny.
But yeah, so now you watch it, and you're like, oh
Yeah.
those-
So they take the mouse bottle to the beer store, and the guy there tells him to take off. And they said, take it up with the brewery.
Yep.
So then they go to the brewery.
Hold on.
Yeah. Are we missing something?
No, I
Yeah.
just want to peel back a second. I mean, we have
Please.
what 3 hours to
Yeah.
go over this?
going full Rogan.
$15 40 years ago seems like a lot of money for a case of beer, right? For like a mass.
Is that how much it was? Was
it was $15? He gave
for 24, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
But it was like
$14.79, I think was.
Yeah, that seems like a lot, right?
Yeah, I guess maybe you had some returns.
I know. Canadian
5
dollars
cents.
are a little higher, but
that's true.
Oh, that's a great point.
But still, that's what I'm saying. Is 40 years ago. Like, I mean, you could. I don't know if you can get a case of beer for $15 now, but you could. Not that long ago.
It's probably heavily taxed.
Probably Bud Light will sell it to you
Sure.
at that price now. But
it just seemed high to me is all, and it's not like a thing.
Did it kind of break the reality of the show for you?
Yeah, I was like, why am I wasting my time with this? $15.
I was all in before. I was in when Hosehead was drinking the beer, but
eating 2
He
donuts.
does say to those kids it's only $15, so like it's maybe in the world of the movie that's not that much money.
But on the one
or
hand,
maybe these guys are morons. It's it's only $15, and then they're like,
the kids are like,
now we have none.
Movie tickets are $3 right now.
Right.
That would have been a good joke if they would have showed admission $1. Three people complain that they want their money back, and they're like,
then I'm in. Then I'm in at that point. But
no, you're right. I guess I didn't think about it. That it was 40 years ago.
So in order to get their beer, they head to the brewery.
So the guy says take it up to the brewery. So they do go to the brewery.
Right.
And at this point, the movie takes the first of several right turns.
Right meaning correct?
I don't know. More like 90 degree. And it starts getting like thriller, old school horror, like music, and that
Yeah.
It's the brewery is like basically like a haunted castle on a hill is what it looks like.
Yeah, the brewery is a castle in Canada.
Yeah.
Which reminded me of like the scene in Young Frankenstein where they like
100%
pull up to and they like shows the castle and they're like, oh my, but
yes.
the big difference is in Strange Brew, you can tell it is a picture or a painting.
Exactly.
The most painfully obvious thing you've ever seen in your life. No movement, no like aura or anything like that about it.
No, it's just a painting of a castle. That's also a brewery.
It's also a brewery, and it says Elsinore.
That is next to an insane asylum.
Next to an insane asylum, and it was like the old school like arrows, like this way to the insane asylum, that way to the brewery. You might have not noticed, like a keen observer might have noticed, hey, that may come into play later. And you know what? Maybe it does.
Like some sign pointing to something.
Right, exactly. And then something else odd, they're driving up, and then there's a car being smashed between two electric fences with a woman inside the car stuck. Mm-hmm. So they try to get in, and there's a car that's just stuck there. And
their solution?
Well, she's going to get out, and then there's another amazing line because she's going to get out, and then Doug is like, don't get out. The tires are insulating you. You'll ground and get electrocuted. And then Rick Moranis then goes, and then he says, he hooked up our stereo. That's a
good one.
I mean, that was a pretty good one. I laughed. I LOL'd at that one. Rick. The relationship between the two brothers was awesome.
They're so funny.
Yeah,
they're so good.
Like, how much of that was improv? Do we know? Was it all? Like, I mean,
Rick Moranis' character just cracked me up. His little observation, like his little comments. Like, there's another time where they're like sitting there, and like the brother goes to like turn on some electricity or something, and he just turns to the woman and he goes, "So, do you travel much?"
Yeah. I mean, his timing is like unbelievable. It's just like the way he
It's
good.
him like flirting.
Yeah, it's just like, or in a moment, there's another great line that he has because they smash the back of the car.
Yeah, their solution is to ram the car through the gate.
And then the gate just opens up and it works.
Yep.
And then they don't get out of the car. They just wave to the woman and she drives away, which is bizarre.
Right.
But you're like, okay, whatever. And then they essentially go in and try the scam on the brewery. But I think before that, you're then introduced to the villains. And the villain, of course, is the brewmaster.
Right.
It's an evil brewmaster.
See, this I got a nit to pick.
Yeah.
If this was about a real brewery, like a microbrewery, the villain would be the marketing department, not the brewmaster.
That's true.
I think the brewmaster is the right call, though.
Yeah.
Especially because they
No,
called him
of course,
Brewmeister,
yeah.
and he was
Max von Sydow.
yeah, he was a
With the biggest teeth anyone's ever
I know.
seen.
Yeah. It was awesome. So you introduce him. He's watching them all. He's got the whole place set up and automated and has video cameras on everything. And so he's already aware that
They,
they're
for some
there.
reason, have a map of the world with red lights on it of where
Yes.
they're going to send the beer.
Yes. And their bathroom is inside that wall, you find out.
Yep.
Because when they
That's
go to the
pretty funny.
bathroom, they open it up and
Good-
go to
good
the bathroom.
gag.
Chris, if you've been to most breweries, you will know that the brewmeister's private bathroom is behind a wall with a bunch of lights on it.
Yeah.
So
That'd be pretty good.
If I got to have insiders on this show.
yeah, exactly.
So then, anyway, it cuts back to the McKenzie brothers. They try to scam the secretary, and with the bottle.
Yeah.
And they're like, we have an appointment with the owner, and they're like, well, he died. Oh no, we even went with that guy because he's on the wall. He's on the wall. They don't even know. And like he died. He's like, well, we made an appointment with the deceased quite some time ago. And then Rick Moranis has another great line. He's like, actually, no. Who's replaced him? We made. What did he say? We made an appointment with his replacement. What was his name again?
It reminds me of the Simpsons bit where Homer tries to impersonate Mr. Burns. And
Yeah.
I think it's the bank teller's like, "What's your first name?" He's like, "Mister."
Yeah, Mister. I don't know. So then, in the another thing you couldn't get away with now, and a trope that the Fade Master was not aware was a trope, and we were talking about this before the show, Mike. There were a bunch of horror tropes, movie tropes, whatever, pop culture references that are so old that people watching it now would probably have no idea that even was a reference. But they did the old
Hard-boiled detective.
Kojak, yeah, where they're trying to what do you know about a guy named Al Smith? Nah, I don't know him. How about this? And he gives him like a $5-10 bill. He's like, yeah, I know Al Smith. And then he keeps giving him money to kind of get more information out of him. They do that with the secretary, but with donuts.
Yeah.
Because she's, on the bigger side, probably by those standards, by today's standards, she's not that big, I don't think. Yeah, I don't think you would have been able to bribe a fat lady with donuts in a movie these days.
No.
Maybe not.
Maybe no. But donuts are central to the universe of the Mackenzies.
Yep.
Yes, and it works.
Right.
It does work.
Yeah.
So they're able to get all the information that they need about the goings-on and how the person recently died, and he left it to his daughter, but they're trying to buy her out, and then you're starting to figure out what's going on. And then, so they basically set up the whole thing. They're trying to take over the brewery, essentially. Yeah.
Right. And
yeah,
they get jobs.
Well, yeah. So what happens then? Yeah.
That's like my, I wouldn't say favorite.
Is that how
part,
you got
but-
your job?
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
But I just
That's
think
not
it's
far from how I got my job.
it's just funny in 1983. It's still the we have too much automation, and
Yeah.
and we wouldn't have
Yeah.
had this problem if we didn't have automation. And it's like that fear of like having your job replaced. In
ChatGPT was running the brewery in 1983.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, it goes back to like them it cuts to the brewmaster trying to buy out the uncle.
The uncle trying to buy out the heir.
And she's like, no. And the heir is the woman who was stuck in the car.
Right.
Right.
And the uncle we've seen has some nefarious dealings with the brewmaster.
Yeah.
Who's
classic like dad kind of character actor from the 80s. They mentioned him in the trailer.
Yeah, Peter Dooley. Like we're supposed to know who that is.
But when you see him, you would know who it was.
That time, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Peter Dooley.
Who would be his modern
man,
equivalent?
I'm so bad with
Phil Dunphy.
Okay.
Modern Family or whatever. He's in better shape, I think. But
okay, yeah, someone like that. Someone you just see
dad
as a character
and
actor.
bumbling, like a perfect bumbling kind of like.
Yeah.
Always just like
He might be like the only character in the movie that's dumber than the two brothers.
Yeah. He's definitely on the level.
Yeah,
for sure.
Equal.
So then it cuts back to the brothers who are just wandering around essentially an abandoned brewery.
Yeah.
Right. So they're in the back halls and stuff, and they run into a guy who's like, "What are you guys doing here?" And it turns out to be the ex-NHL Rookie of the Year, Rosie something.
Rosenson? Like
yeah,
Rosie.
Yeah, Rosie. They just call him Rosie.
I think her name is Jude LaRose.
Jude LaRose. That's right. That's right.
Loves heady brews and hockey.
Yeah. And Bob's like, "Hey, do you know who that is? That's Rosie.
He got his rookie card."
Yeah, and he's like,
Jean
"No,
LaRose.
it's not.
Sorry, I
Jean
was
LaRose."
Hi, Jude, if you're listening.
What's up, Jude?
Hey,
And
Jude.
he's like, "No, he's not. He's a cop, and he's going to arrest you, and I'm going to be a witness." So the older brother's always trying to call out the younger brother too. He's a cop, and I'm going to be a witness. So then he takes him just into the right.
But Rosie stopped playing hockey because he had a mental breakdown.
Yeah. You fear that he just disappeared. He played rookie. He was rookie of the year, and then you find out later he had a mental breakdown. But there he is working in a brewery. You don't know quite why, but he takes them.
Also, very realistic that like if
ex-NHL player.
No, if like two people come up and be like, "Hey, can I see your brewery?" and a brewery worker's like, "Oh yeah, come on back."
Yeah.
You don't even need shoes.
Yeah, hey, you want a job too, bud?
Yeah. So he takes them right
You got
to
hands? Pack off.
the president. Yeah.
Put
Literally.
these pack techs on these.
Yeah.
Yeah. Snap.
And the scam works. They take the bottle, they show it to him, and it works.
They get free beer.
They get free beer.
And they get jobs making sure there aren't mice in the beer.
Yeah, so they get the Laverne and Shirley job where they're just looking at the bottles of beer.
They bring them to the spot every brewery has, which is a big light behind the bottles
Yeah,
to make
I mean,
sure
that's
there's no mice
the
in them.
only way you can really know for sure that there's not mice in your beer is to hit it with light immediately after packaging.
Right. Brightest.
Yes.
Whitest.
Right, UV.
Yes.
Heat it up a little bit.
Exactly.
And then cool it down really quick,
Right.
and then heat it back up.
Yeah.
Yes.
That did look like a real bottling line.
It did.
That's all I'm saying.
So it was filmed at like a lot of it was filmed at like a real brewery.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, yeah, they had giant
Canadian
tanks and
brewery.
stuff.
Yeah.
That's a nice way to say brewing conveyors haven't really evolved much in 40 years.
Yeah, I mean,
the rails are still the same.
The vessels looked pretty much exactly the same. I mean, everything looked more or less the same.
The only unrealistic part was where he laid on the cases, went in, came back out covered in labels. Like that just wouldn't happen.
I know.
Cases and bottles.
I was like, wait, the cases were closed.
Well, I got
they
a
got
pick
caps
later
put on
on some
them.
process issues that at this brewery that shelf life has to be terrible on these beers.
They should have.
I don't know. They're shipping all over the world.
Yeah, all 7
right.
continents.
Yeah,
A couple in like really farther north Russia is my favorite one. In Siberian Russia.
Yeah. So they immediately start drinking on the job.
There's some things in
within
this
moments.
There are
they're
some
drinking
things
on the job.
in this movie that are very accurate.
Yeah. So they're drinking on the job, and then that's the first day. So the first day of the movie, they've I guess no, the second day. The first day, the
first
night,
2 days, yeah.
right. So they already they have movies. They have jobs at a
The packaging line.
an evil brewery.
They don't know that yet.
Yeah.
They also
We know there's some evilness happening.
well they
we don't know why.
They don't.
Yeah,
they don't. I mean,
I don't think they really figure out much throughout the entire movie.
Nor
That's a theme that they're always happy no matter what the situation is, more or less.
Also, the proudest that their father / parents are of them the entire time isn't the well. I mean, he was stoked they got jobs, but he was mostly stoked that they brought home free beer.
Yeah, they brought him 14 cases of free beer.
Right.
Where the older brother says, "Well, we should not ruin this and like lose our jobs," and the younger brother says, "Why don't we just stay up all night and drink beer?" And he goes, "That's what we're gonna do."
That's a great idea. We can't be late. He says we can't be late for our first day or second day.
So like Eric said, a lot of this is accurate.
We'll just stay up all night. Yeah.
And they don't stay up all night, obviously. They fall asleep at some point.
Right.
Because they wake up on the couch in the receptionist's office with a bunch of donuts.
Right. And then I think, well, you know what? Speaking of which, I'm gonna get another beer. Can we take a break?
Yeah.
And then we'll finish the second part of Strange Brew.
Yeah.
All right. We'll be back. All right, we're back.
And we are here talking about the movie about beer.
Yes.
Oppenheimer.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Oppenheimer. That's good. Has anyone seen Oppenheimer, by the way?
Yes.
I saw it. No. I didn't think it was awesome.
Really?
It's 3 hours long, dude.
Oh, so is this podcast.
They're good 3-hour movies, though.
Yeah, they're good 3-hour movies.
That movie stressed me out so much.
Well, did you know the story? I knew the story pretty well.
Oh, really? I mean,
Yeah, I'd read
I'm not
books on 'em.
I'm not a hoppy history
I'm
person.
well read.
I know the quote. I haven't seen the movie yet, but
Oh,
yeah.
I mean, LOL moment when the quote comes up. But we'll talk about it after the.
That's a different.
There were two LOLs for me. I LOL twice during Oppenheimer. Dead silence in the rest of the theater.
I wonder why. What part of Schindler's List did you think was funny?
I've never seen it. That's a movie I know I can't see.
Watch because I'll laugh too hard.
I'll be too upset.
It's like I Am Become Death is really funny.
Yeah.
And, Rick Moranis being like, what's that guy's name?
What's that guy's name? equal hilarity.
Yeah. Okay.
So our heroes have jobs.
Yes.
So
yes.
which one are we talking about?
We're talking
back
about
to Strange Brew?
Strange Brew. Oppenheimer Brew. So you start to learn a little bit more about what's going on. So the brewmaster is in his R&D lab, and it looks like a mad scientist's lab with a bunch of like beakers,
Hop oils, flowable hop products, different extracts,
cryo hops,
fruit purees.
Yes. And he's on that. He's on it. He's checking into.
He's roto-vapping things.
Yeah.
He's almost getting into the lactose.
Yeah, and he was looking at Untapped to see which styles and which breweries were getting the highest averages, and then doing that.
Oktoberfest.
I actually think he was on the phone with marketing Mitch.
Yeah, exactly.
This is all marketing Mitch's idea.
Yeah. So he's scrolling through Untapped, seeing what breweries are getting the most bottle caps, which ones local to him are getting more, which one he's jealous of. But anyway.
Saying our Crispy Boy is just as good as any Suarez beer.
Yes. But you realize also that he's drugged the beer. He's drugging the beer. And the effect it has is he can mind control people who consume the beer.
Mm-hmm.
And he's been experimenting on, and now you see, if you were perceptive earlier, the lunatics.
Mm-hmm.
The lunatics.
The lunatics.
Yes.
At the insane asylum.
At the insane asylum.
Which obviously has underground tunnels that connect it to the brewery.
Yes.
As most.
And you find out why that makes sense later on.
Mm-hmm.
So he can control their minds. with using an organ from a hockey game.
Yeah.
So he plays songs on a hockey or on an organ.
Because remember, we're in Canada.
Like, da-na-na-na-na-na, like that type thing.
Yeah.
And he can make them do whatever he wants. And the idea is to take over the world.
Right.
So the brewmaster is going to take over the world with his drugged beer that he will then be able to command people using the organs that you would have at sporting events and stuff. But
flawless plan.
Sure.
Yeah.
And I have a few things here I'd like to jump in if you don't mind,
Please.
Chris. Number one, the sound of the organ is so sick.
Yeah.
The tone of it, I'm like,
Yeah.
if whatever, like, however you make that sound, it sounded rad. Like, I would listen to an album with that sound for sure.
I think that's what the rest of the 80s were mostly.
Like the Simpsons Garden of Eden episode.
Yeah. No, it was great.
Yeah. Very good sounds.
I mean, I remember going to hockey games and having that organ. I mean,
then,
do they still
then
do
you
that?
Were, you were activated into fighting the
No,
that's just
the
Philly.
stormtroopers.
Yeah,
That's just a Philly thing. They hear anything.
That's why you started throwing batteries at Santa Claus.
No, that's football games. Yes. There was a story I read about this where they were I forget the context, but there was they were talking about Flyers fans, and this is one of my favorite Philadelphia sports fans stories. It was before the Jumbotron. It would just have could actually show video. It could just show text, and it said Mary, will you marry me? And the whole stadium started going, no.
Yeah.
I mean, that makes me proud to be from Philadelphia, honestly. Okay, so yes, they're playing the organ.
As a Yankees fan, it's the only place that makes us look maybe good.
And you also notice that the uncle, who's like the brewery president, also has married the wife of the deceased, his brother's wife.
Yeah.
Like
One
immediately
day
after.
after, right?
Yeah, his sister goes
after.
from sister-in-law to wife in 24 hours.
Yeah, the night after, or right after the death.
Some Game of Thrones stuff.
Yes.
No spoilers. I haven't seen it.
And
A lot of incest.
the brewmaster as mad scientist, that kind of theme is going strong with the horror thriller brewmaster mad scientist.
And he has massive teeth.
Massive teeth, and
Biggest
he also
teeth
has
ever.
a different formulation for his own beer that gives him super strength, because he lifts up the guy by his ear at some
that
point.
was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Was it implied that was because of his beer?
Yes.
Oh man,
Yes.
I kind of missed that too.
okay.
Well, I think I figured out, because it was right after he was mixing his beer and then tasting it and like kind of drinking his beer. And then he had super strength.
I do love that there's a mad scientist who has made a super strength potion who can only consume it through beer.
I mean, I like their just
It's like
how
with
everything
Barry,
is.
you got to
It's
drink
like
this.
beer muscles.
Yeah,
Everything is in the world of the McKenzie brothers. It's like the brewmaster,
Yeah.
like he poisons the beer, he gets super strength from the beer.
Yeah.
There's a hockey player at the brewery.
I mean that is a great point of it is very much through their perspective, and it's their world where beer is the central focus of it.
Yeah. Oh, and the lunatics.
It makes the movie so much richer.
I forgot to say is the way he controls them is he makes them play hockey against
Kind
one
of,
another.
Yeah, they mostly just fight each
Yeah,
other.
or just
But they're explicitly dressed up like stormtroopers, kind
Yeah.
of.
yeah,
The
stormtroopers and very
Yeah, the outfits are insanely good.
very.
Yeah.
I loved those outfits as a kid. I thought they were
Same.
super cool, but they were very Star Wars.
Yeah, my memory of this movie is mostly just those outfits, but with Rick Moranis and Tom Davis's head on. I'm like, yeah, all right.
Yeah. I mean, they don't quite make them fight yet. You found out later.
Oh, sorry.
That what makes them fight is the Great White North sound. They go do 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 because they play that on the organ and it makes them all fight.
Right.
Which comes into play later. Then
that would be a cool place to play hockey, though, with all those cases of beer.
Yeah, that's the other thing. They play
Obviously
it in like
full
the cold
cases of
storage room. It's just a
Right.
rink with stacks of beer everywhere.
Yeah,
Right.
Which when you're hitting a hockey puck around,
yeah,
glass is what you want to have
Right.
as your
Exactly.
border.
Little stubbies
Exactly.
is what you need
Right.
to have as the boards.
Yeah. So
Can we set something like this up at Rev? Can you like set up a little
Yeah.
hockey rink in the back?
Yeah, just get a couple empty kegs around the.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, we could get a goal because I don't think anyone's gonna want to play goalie, but maybe.
Right.
Hang like 5 different beer cans from the goal, and if you bust open all 5, you win.
There.
I like that
Skills
idea.
competition.
I think if you hit
One.
that'd be remarkable.
But the whole game, he's saying.
Yeah, the whole game.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, you get.
Yeah, the game is over when you
First
get
to
all
5.
5.
That's
of
actually
them.
that's a great idea.
That is a great idea. I'm so
All right,
sorry.
let's do it, guys. Let's do it.
Okay. All right.
We don't need dodgeball.
The Beer
We
Temple
got it.
Podcast Invitational.
We just got to get an ice rink in a brewery. I guess we're going up to Elsinore.
Nick just said he can build one for
Oh,
us.
good.
Yeah.
Just flood the place.
That's a
Guaranteed it.
verbal contract, guys. I'm held to that.
That's right.
All right. When do we flood it?
Think about the kind of ice box you could make in that kind of environment, too.
Also, the brewery did flood on July 2nd.
Oh,
when
not
it
the right
all
time of
was-
year.
When it was like just pouring.
Yeah.
Oh,
It just
right.
like came through the
drains.
like the roll up doors. No, not through the drains, like roll up doors and exit doors. And they call me, it's Sunday night.
Like, hey, can you change the weather real
Well, they're
quick?
like, hey, the brewery's flooding. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. So I go in, and there's like an inch of water over
Ooh.
a half of the brewery.
Oh my gosh.
And I was like, guys, there's nothing we can do. Like,
That's
it's
a
like
lot.
it's not damaging any product because it's all on pallets.
Yeah.
Got some drywall damage, but that would have been a good time to flash freeze it, though. We would have
Yes.
lots of fun.
You didn't just want to like squeegee it with your new.
I did.
After your class, you're just gonna
Yeah,
be squeegeeing that down the floor drains.
I did get out of sump pump though, pumped out a little bit.
Oh, good. You had to look like you're doing something.
Yeah.
Little sump pump for hundreds of gallons of water. Yeah.
Just put it right back into the sink.
Exactly.
Let's put it into someone else's area. Pump it into the office.
I knew it rained a lot because we were on vacation, and when we left, our grass was dead.
Oh.
And then we got back on July 5th, and it was like super tall. And I was like, all right, something happened. While we were there.
So something important has happened in the movie as well, which is you realize.
Great transition.
Yeah. I'm trying to keep it going.
Natural.
You were like, at the beginning, you're like, we're not going to go through this beat by beat. And now I will go through the movie beat by beat.
Guys, back on track.
I mean,
Okay,
there's so
minute-
many good beats.
Minute 16.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's got 18 pages of notes, guys. You
I
can't
do.
see it, but
And
let me
then
see.
one of the
Yeah, there's a
brothers
lot.
said this.
We don't have to.
Tapped his chin.
You know what?
Hilariously.
I'm going to let Eric take it from here.
Are these double-sided too?
Yeah. They are. They're double-sided notes.
You took more notes than like there were words on the script.
Yeah. That's true.
Probably.
That's true.
So thanks, Chris, for opening this
Yeah.
up to discussion.
Yes.
There is use. I would wonder how many films a hydrometer has been used in.
Yeah,
That's
The
a great
course of
true.
cinema.
And
'Cause
that
there
beer
is one in here.
real dry.
Yeah, I noticed that.
It's very dry.
Was
Like
it?
right around. Would you say like zero?
0 Play-Doh. Yeah. It's like an Iswas beer. They're making saison in that thing.
Yes.
But that- yeah. The first
I
time we
don't.
meet the
Did he
evil
spin
brewmaster.
it? Do you know if he spun it?
I don't know if I didn't see him spin it, but there were no bubbles stuck to it. So
Sure.
he must have spun it.
Yeah, I thought so.
That's cool. So there was somebody there advising them.
Yeah, right. They have a
I mean,
a
but-
technical advisor.
But if you think about it, like you could like sort of improv that part. If it's like actually a brewery, where they filmed. It's like, okay, yeah, there would be a hydrometer there.
Yeah. Anyway, hydrometer in the brew house, taking samples of the brew.
Yeah. You need to know.
It's already dried out.
On the hot side?
Yeah.
That's so crazy.
That's Elsinore White, or Light. But yeah, probably the best use of hydrometer in film I've ever seen.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the best, top three.
Name the other two.
I won't.
Those two are up for debate.
Yeah.
I think it was the background of Drinking Buddies, and then.
I don't know if that they were brewing. Was Revolution brewing? Were you at Revolution when they made that?
No.
Okay.
That was like when they were first opening.
Yeah, I don't.
We didn't have
What's
like
that?
the big.
What was
Drinking Buddies? It's
Drinking Buddies.
We didn't have like the bigger brew house. We didn't have like the big tanks.
like it was literally just opening. Yeah.
Yep.
That's why they let them do it.
Yeah, I know. They wanted to film it at Half Acre.
Yeah.
But we were in
too cool
midsummer production, and there was like no space there. That was when we were at like absolutely no space for anything. And yeah. Anyways,
so the movie
they went to Rev, and it all worked out better for everybody, I think. But no hydrometers, I don't think, at that point.
Yeah, no.
That's what I was trying to get to.
The movie is about to take its second wild turn. When I was watching it, being like, "What? All right." Now I kind of got it. The first turn, I was like, "All right, now it's kind of this like thriller, whatever, mystery movie," and then it takes another turn. And I'm going to be honest. It starts taking more and more, and the plot kind of falls apart a little bit. It becomes more and more threadbare as the movie goes on. Which you have a little bit of info about it, but it starts off with something that you just told me about, was when they play a video game in the abandoned place, brewery, and it's been possessed by the dead father / founder of the brewery.
Right, which is not obvious in the movie, really, but it's a remnant of like the original script where the two brothers, like Dave Thomas and Rick Moranis, didn't want to write the movie originally, so they hired someone, but they told them they wanted it to be Hamlet, but like them as Hamlet, and so the guy just wrote like Hamlet, and they're like, it's a little too straightforward. But so this like ghost that like is in the video game and is like shoots all the old chocolate milk out at them at one point.
Yes.
And then like shows them videos through video games of like
him dying.
Of him dying is like the ghost in Hamlet. And so it's like a remnant of the script. And so they ended up rewriting the first like at least a third of the script in their own voice, and then kind of stopped as it went on. Because like, it's good enough. We'll throw some jokes in at the end.
Which is exactly what the movie seems like.
Yeah, and then
it's exactly what the movie
and Dave
seems
Thomas'
like.
quote is being like, the first couple drafts of our version of like the full movie were way weirder and way more experimental, and so they like put the last 2/3 that were written by an actual like screenwriter back in, and just had like tagged their first like third onto it.
Wow.
With the dog drinking beer and like.
I mean, they got writing credit though.
Yeah,
it's split.
It's split. So it's three. It's the two of them and the guy.
Oh,
who
that
wrote the
other
original
guy
credit.
was
Yeah.
the guy.
He wrote the full movie as if it was just like Hamlet, but with the Mackenzie brothers as co-Hamlets.
Without knowing that, it's
crazy,
a crazy right turn.
Yeah,
where like. You know, there's like things coming out of the video game, and it's
right. The video game can now play videos from the closed circuit television.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The Square Records.
Oh right, that he thinks is new wave EPs. Now it's all a blur of what are we even in the same? Are we moving?
So let me look. Luckily,
like
somebody took notes.
The glowing outlet.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's very odd. So what happens next is the brewmaster and the uncle, since everything is on closed caption, start to realize that they're getting onto them. So they dress up as the McKenzie brothers while they're playing hockey. They
Right,
steal their clothes, get trank guns, and trank a bunch of people, and then put them into beer barrels.
Right.
Finally, we see what a full barrel looks like.
They seal them into a full barrel.
Yes.
Like a 60-gallon.
Yes. And then they have the McKenzie brothers deliver the beer to a party, but then the evil brewery manager, not the brewmaster. We haven't really talked about this guy. He's kind of like the marketing Mitch type guy, or he takes their
cuts their
brakes. He cuts their brakes,
but it's also explicit. Like, I cut their brakes so they have 3 stops.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, nice. That guy's a mechanical genius.
Exactly.
It also leads to my favorite line in the show or the movie.
Which is?
Where he tries to brake and he can't, and he's like, well, there's no point in steering now. And it's like very Dumb and Dumber-esque.
Yeah.
And the evil brewmaster at some point, I think previous to this, alludes to like, I'm not going to let those 2 brothers get another leg up on me or something. Like, he doesn't realize how dumb they are.
Yeah,
just like in Dumb and Dumber, like
we won't let our little friends get ahead of us. I won't underestimate our little friends again.
Yeah. Just like, Dumb and Dumber used the same thing where like the hitman is like, these guys aren't just anyone, Shay. These guys are good. How the hell do they know?
So then there's...
I zoned out for a quick second. So they stop at home to feed their dog, even though their parents are there. And
right.
their parents had been there drinking
and are banging.
And it's implied, and then they're banging. Was it them and
yes?
And, okay, it was Rick Moranis and Dave Thomas, right?
Yes.
Okay.
As the mom and dad.
I was like zoned out at that point. I was like, what? Wait, what?
Yes.
And then,
so they do that. They then listen to
which is very important for
floppy
the
disk
plot of. Oh yeah. that part actually is important because they're like, oh, this music sucks. We're just gonna give it to Hosehead.
They give
he collects these.
He
catches it perfectly.
And what did he say? Hank Aaron, wonder if he can hit. That's what that's what Rick Moranis says. And then you can see he kind of laughs at his own joke.
Yeah.
When he does that. I noticed that too. So then the brewmaster is still trailing them. They go out of control. They can't stop. So there's another classic 80s trope, the cop chase.
Oh, yeah.
So they're now racing all over, I guess, kind of industrial Toronto.
Down a hill. Obviously first, and then, into the docks.
And they, like, go in and
they
sink.
They instead of flying off the edge of the dock and instantly sinking, they somehow fly 50 feet in the air.
Yeah.
And then smash into the water.
I missed that they put the heiress and
into the kegs.
And Rosie into the kegs.
Yeah.
Wait, did they show
Not
that?
Rosie, the other. There's another guy.
They were
Oh, yeah,
do
the
it,
other guy.
and they show them like
The
rolling.
production manager.
They said they were going to do it, and they rolled it. They show them rolling.
Yeah.
No, but do they show them putting them in?
No.
Into the kegs?
Yeah.
No. They
Okay.
say they're going to do it, and then it's implied that like these are the
Yeah.
ones.
But the one
That's
keg
whack. I'm
busts
sorry, that's
open.
kinda whack, whatever.
The one keg busts
You want to
open.
see them getting put into
No,
the
but
keg?
You
But
can't put
I
someone
just-
into a keg.
Well,
you
they're
could.
whole
Sure.
barrels.
Right.
They're like the biggest kegs
That's
you've ever
true.
seen.
Right.
But what's the
Yeah.
opening like? It's
So the
not
one
like
guy gets knocked around because the back door breaks open, the barrel comes out, and he's all messed up. And then when it hits the water, Pam gets out, and she's swimming, and Rosie is there. Oh, because he's randomly following him on a motorcycle, wearing a hockey goalie mask.
That's how you know it's Rosie.
And he's got a little bit of the
But
thing
also
for Pam.
Rosie can't drive a motorcycle. So.
So he jumps into the water, dives down, saves her.
By sharing giving his breath to
His
her.
breath to her, and then
very heroic.
Then he passes out.
Immediately
he
he's-
sinks down,
right.
and lands on top of the McKenzie brothers' van, and then presumably they all
perish.
They all perish because they're like, well, they've been down there for 10 minutes.
Right.
And then it cuts to like the next day. I don't know. Like later that day. I think it's the next day. And they're sending divers down to retrieve the body. And they go into the van in another classic, amazing scene. Rosie is now in the van with the brothers. And the three of them are just chilling in the van, living on beer.
So are they drinking the beer or are they breathing?
I think it's just their empties.
Maybe it's the empties
That's how I read it. But
so they're drinking it to empty it out and then making sure.
I don't know.
I don't think we're going to be able to logic this one.
But I do. So anyway, they're getting air from inside the empties. I think you're probably right. That's what it is. So they're just like living off the empties, but also drinking beer. I think underwater was kind of the impression I got.
The idea is that they love drinking beer so much
They
they'd
can
rather
live off
stay
it.
at the bottom of the ocean or the bottom
Than
of Lake
swimming
Ontario
out. Right.
drinking beer than try to swim out and breathe.
Right.
Yes, and and they're alive. And I do think that to some degree they were really breathing that way because they were like doing these extended underwater shots where they were drinking the air from the beer bottles, which is pretty funny. So they are so they're alive.
Everyone survives.
And then what happens? It's hooray! Nope. They get arrested.
Institutional. Oh yeah, it's arrested.
Yeah, arrested, and they go on trial because the brewmaster had been dressed like them. They have it all on closed caption, and they think that they tried to kidnap and kill Pam and that other dude. We haven't talked about it all. So they go to jail. So now the brothers are in jail.
Who was that other guy? Just like a
production manager. Honestly.
He was.
Because he's the one who like gives them the job.
Yes, he hires.
Yeah, he
them.
hires them. He's the guy.
He was the guy
complaining
who
about
actually had run the brewery.
Right. He's the automation guy.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
The unsung hero.
I'm assuming he's like the forklift driver.
Yeah, he's certified for sure. He's definitely certified.
Yes.
I have some questions about the production, but I think you said you did too, so maybe we'll save those for the end.
Okay, we can do it at the end.
Go ahead. What?
No, I'm
at the end.
Save it for the end.
Yeah.
Save it at the end.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. So the brothers are in jail. They go to trial. Dave or Doug.
You're skipping over probably a great improvised scene.
Please.
When they are like holding court in
the jail.
In the jail.
Yeah. Saying that they didn't want an attorney because attorneys are for suckers.
Well, even before that, he's like, they're gonna
he's
like, they're gonna like you. You're small and young.
Yeah.
It's like, what?
When they're getting their mugshots taken.
In the trailer when it says all-star cast, it's the part where they pan across everyone in the jail and they get to them. Like, an all-star cast, and it's like all these jailed people.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
Well,
so
your lawyers here. And
they basically are framed, and you realize that the brewmeister is also is a doctor of psychiatry.
Of course he is.
And runs the loony bin. Mm-hmm. So that's the tie-in there. So he's both.
Right.
So he
you're
testifies
telling,
against
sorry,
them.
Go ahead.
Yeah, no, please.
You're telling me it's just that
He's a
easy
Renaissance man.
to get a job as a brewmeister?
Yeah, I guess so. I guess so.
Good to know.
So,
did he use the same name? I forget.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, it's the same. Okay.
Same guy. It's not like he's like pretending to be a different. Like he's
Because
a
Brewmeister Smith sounds like it could be made up.
Right.
It does sound
So he's a chemist.
more lazy writing.
Ish.
Than anything, I think.
Chemist-ish and a psychiatrist and a head brewer.
He's just like an evil genius, I think.
Got it.
But the brothers get lucky. They don't get convicted because they
nearly
judge,
get married.
Right. The judge. That's right.
I think that means we're married.
When they're swearing in. Yeah. They take the stand together. They literally are both on the stand together.
Dog gets a nosebleed?
Doug gets a nosebleed, and they can't stop it. So
they use bullets.
So the bailiff finally sticks 2 bullets up his nose. And then Bob starts cracking jokes about the judge, and Doug is laughing, and he laughs so hard that he fires the bullets, which upsets the judge so much that he deems them unfit for trial, and they have to go to a psychiatric hospital.
Yeah.
The loony bin.
And God forbid there be a conflict of interest. No, he immediately puts him under the care of the only psychiatrist in town.
Yeah, exactly.
The guy who just
Brewmeister.
testified against them.
So things are not looking good for the brothers, because not only are they there, also Rosie is there, and Pam, you find out, is now catatonic.
Right.
And she's in the loony bin. And also, the guy that we haven't really talked about, the production manager, he's also, because I guess it's also a medical hospital and a loony bin, because he's there. He's not crazy. He just has like some severe injuries.
Mental health is health, Chris.
Yeah, it's true. So they're all now in this hospital.
Which looks like a jail more than it looks like a place for treatment.
Yeah.
Which
Maybe it was how it was. So
possibly.
Yeah. So they get committed, and then basically Rosie saves them all. And it's the other thing is the guy who was like their marketing Mitch is also a doctor at the hospital, and he's the one who's like giving them a lie detector test for some reason. And they're going to give Pam a lobotomy the next day, you find out. So Rosie comes in and saves them, and in an amazing...
Well, hold on.
Yeah, please.
You're skipping the part where the production manager gets brought into the hospital that Rosie was in.
Yeah.
And Rosie was in the hospital, and for undisclosed reasons, I guess, related to...
mental breakdown.
No, but he's in the actual hospital. And the doctor is there to essentially kill him with...
No, the uncle's there to kill him.
Yeah, but I'm saying like that doesn't happen in the psychiatric part because...
That's what I was saying. I think it's just like, it's just both. I don't know what the difference is.
They're different because he rides the motorcycle between the facilities.
Oh.
Because he goes from the stealing the cop car and the motor or in the motorcycle or the whatever car.
Okay. So Rosie's just running around doing all this stuff then, I guess.
Well, no, Rosie's in the hospital.
Oh.
And then he accidentally gives... The nurse walks in and is like, yo, you got to give the shot to this guy. And then he kills that dude.
And he kills him.
And then that's when the uncle escapes. And that's when all chaos breaks loose. And eventually that's why Rosie ends up going to the psychiatric ward.
Okay, now I get it.
Yeah.
What I thought was amazing is how he rescued the brothers, who were still like, again, totally happy to be in the loony bin. Like, didn't mind that they had been framed.
I think the meta jokes that like they fit there. Like, these are our people.
And the funniest part of it to me is like Rosie gets there and it's like, man, if only he opened the door literally across the hall.
Right.
He would have saved his girlfriend, but instead he just happens to go to the one where Bob and Doug.
And the way he saves them is he hip checks the doctor, which is amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, he instead of going up and hitting him, he hip checks him and knocks him out, which I was just like, that's amazing. What a great detail. And then there's another weird turn again. I think they get the Pam, right? They get Rosie's girlfriend. She's, I guess, not catatonic anymore. Mm-hmm. It starts falling apart a little bit. And then it starts getting another super weird turn.
Were you having a few Elsinores during your viewing?
Yeah.
Or did you just stop taking notes?
No, I know. This is where I'm at. It gets
only on page 2, dude.
It gets weird.
It literally says it gets weird, guys. I'm reading it right now.
So the production manager steals a cop car from the hospital. He gets out, and then the spirit goes into the loony bin and opens up. Like they're like, how do we get out? Because they're in jail essentially.
It's like the remnants of Hamlet. It's just like where it's like the last 2/3, like this spirit just starts doing stuff.
Right. So he just like opens up the gate.
Yeah.
So it's like this thing that you've only seen in the a few times, I suppose, and now he just opens up the loony bin and lets them out. They're like, okay. I mean, they were phoning it in at this point.
And they wanted though
they need some Ex
They're like,
Machinas.
we need to get to another hockey scene. So we got to figure out a way to let these.
So they all
these
get
people
out.
You know,
They've
the
been
Canadian
framed.
government makes
They've
you
been
have so
trying to
many
get.
hockey scenes.
People are trying to kill them, trying to give them a lobotomy. So what do? Do they go to the cops? No, they go back to the brewery. They all go back to the brewery.
That's where the beer is.
Yes. Yeah. So that's where they are. See, so we're starting to get towards the end now. So, and then another funny scene. They have to split up, and like Rosie and Doug go one way, and Pam and Bob go another way, and they kind of pause for a moment, and then like Doug acts like, "Hey man, man, those guys are really dragging us down, huh?" And then you see Bob is like blubbering and crying because apparently it's literally the first time the two of them have ever been apart. And they're also in pajamas, which was funny. They're in like children's pajamas from the loony bin, I think.
Yeah, I think that's a loony bin thing.
Everyone else was in like a gown. They were literally in pajamas.
Yeah.
I think everyone who's in the psychiatric ward is also in pajamas.
Oh, okay. Well, they have like robes and stuff, but these people are in like children's pajamas.
Yeah, like giraffes on them and stuff.
Exactly. So stuff's getting real at this point. Like the brewmaster knows that they're onto them. And anything good happening out there? Should we stop and?
No, sorry. I think that's just Bob from Bar Buena.
Oh, okay.
/ Maplewood.
I mean,
my bad.
It was getting intense now. I felt. I mean, I was on the edge of my seat. When was this spirit gonna jump out again and just completely make any sort of situation just completely easy to get out of again for no reason? The brewmeister is now threatens to kill the uncle by crushing his head like a nut. And squeezes his head so hard that you can literally hear his skull cracking. Yeah.
It's like a warning crack.
Yeah, exactly. It was a warning. It was a warning crack. He traps Bob and Pam, the brewmaster does, in a lagering tank,
right,
and starts filling it with beer to drown them.
This is where I lost. I couldn't do it anymore.
Sure.
This movie didn't make any sense because they explicitly say you got to get up higher to get more oxygen. So that thing is full of oxygen,
right?
And they're just splashing beer in from the top of the tank.
Yep.
And there's no way that Elsinore beer, this high quality beer that sells for $14.79 a 24-pack in Canada, is getting transferred into lagering tanks full of oxygen from the top.
Right.
How should they be doing it?
To purge that thing, so once they're in there, they're drowning in CO2 and
immediately.
dying immediately.
Yeah, almost immediately they're dying.
And then you transfer
within a minute.
slowly from the bottom.
Right.
Obviously.
You don't want to jostle the beer.
And it was
so this movie makes no sense. It's a piece of shit.
And
Sorry,
it was so
Serge.
fun.
Wait, but one of the things I was thinking about is that they show this the number of the fermenter and it says 600 gallons.
It says 6,000.
6,000.
6,000 gallons.
I'm bad. So that the size of the tank is actually fine.
Yeah.
I'm just,
size is
So
fine.
let me ask then.
That's less
But why
believable
does
than
it
what's
say
about to
gallon?
happen.
Is it
Sure.
possible?
That's a
It's
good
in
question.
Canada.
Do you think in the 80s?
yeah, it should be liters.
Could you?
Hectoliters.
Would it be possible to fill something would the system allow you to fill without it being purged first?
No, but
Yeah, you
the
could.
beer would
You
taste
could
So in that
do
situation, he wasn't transferring beer. He was
But
trying
there's-
to kill.
there's
But he
two-
would.
there's
But if he's
two-
trying to like
Yeah.
off them, like he's doing it like very much Bond villain style, where he's
course.
like, I didn't purge the tank. We have all these purged tanks, but I put them in the one that still has oxygen,
Also,
so
how
they'll
can-
die slowly.
yeah. Also, how convenient that I have to do a transfer right now.
Right.
That beer was not ready.
Right.
Cellar people are upset.
Yeah.
Coming
That's
in the
why I
next
brought-
morning, like, where's
that's why you guys are here.
Why would you transfer on that?
Yo, the DO on this batch is off the
off the
charts.
charts.
We can't put this out.
Blend it down.
Yeah.
Blend this 6,000 gallons down. That was the discussion next day with the robots
Right.
that run that brewery.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you brought that up.
Anyway, it upset me.
Sorry.
Yeah, there you
A
go.
brewmaster wouldn't do that.
Like he just couldn't
But would
allow
an
himself to do
evil
it.
brewmaster do it?
Maybe, no, because people have to drink this shit. If he wants to, sorry, Serge. If he wants to mind control people, they're not being drinking this oxidized garbage.
Right. They're gonna know something's up
Right.
pretty quickly.
The biggest flaw in the
Well,
entire.
guess
movie.
what?
Well, and also
Guys,
you realize this, he's trying to get his beer to Oktoberfest.
The
That's
public
how
will
next day
never
world,
right.
have
yeah.
a chance to drink this beer. Spoiler alert.
It's true. So it's getting filled up.
You get this far. It's
a big shifty.
I missed the last
Yeah.
10 minutes. It's all spoiled.
Exactly.
So who drinks the beer then?
So Bob saves the day. After he
Great work, Mike.
he pisses in the beer and then drinks it Yellow River
Yeah,
Boys style.
there is a piss joke.
Little YRB going on right
And then
there.
he drinks it.
I mean,
Also,
you gotta do what
like,
you gotta
It's
do.
diluted enough at
Yeah.
that.
I know, 6,000
Sure.
gallons.
So he drinks 6,000 gallons.
But then
and
they can't
Of
get him
pea
out.
beer.
he looks normal, right?
No, well, they can't get him out because he's the size of the tank, essentially.
And not only is he the size of the tank, but his pajamas have also grown
Stretched.
with him.
Yes.
Canadian,
I have some-
lycra.
And then
I have some logic questions.
Yeah.
I feel like there was a lot of empty space in the
Right.
tank,
Mm-hmm.
but the tank theoretically was full. So where did all that excess beer go?
it's in him.
No, I know, but shouldn't the
Matter can be neither created nor destroyed.
right?
That's science.
It's a volume thing.
I
It's a
think
Canadian.
that's
It's a middle.
Oppenheimer.
It's a liter.
Yeah.
It's a liter
it's
thing.
It's a
exchange rate
conversion
thing.
thing.
Okay,
It's an
got it.
exchange
Well,
rate.
he does. First he burps out all the CO2.
Well, no, they
and
can't get him
blows.
out. They don't know how
Yeah.
to do it. But then he burps and blows the
Wait,
engine door
no,
off.
but at first the cops are like, "Oh," they say something. They're like, "Oh, we're gonna do something." She's like, "No, don't." And then he like 2 seconds later like burps it out.
Well,
Yeah.
they said you can't like cut through that with a blowtorch.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Because the tank's too thick, which
Sure.
is not true.
I
But-
especially for what happens 1 second later.
yeah, when he blows up.
He burps and blows the end of the
But
tank
we
off.
don't. Yeah, so he also then probably peed a lot. He said he had to take a piss.
And then the spirit decides to set fire to the loony bin.
Yeah, as the spirit does.
And then the cops somebody decides to transfer Bob because he's complaining that he's got to pee really, really bad.
Yeah,
So bad he can taste
I
it.
can. I
because
got to
he's
pee
not.
so bad I can
he's
taste it.
consumed
6,000 gallons of beer.
Yeah, like maybe like 10,000% of his body weight in,
in beer,
liquid.
and he's still fine. I mean, he's still lucid.
Yeah, of course.
Still perfectly fine.
These are functioning out.
And then he puts
does
out
puke.
he does.
That's true. He does puke.
Because he says, if I didn't
I
have
have
puke breath, I'd kiss you.
That was
But
a
that was
different scene.
earlier.
That was a different scene. That's when he
that-
drinks the
So
chocolate
he
milk.
drinks the expired
Before
milk.
milk
yeah,
chocolate
that's
milk,
right.
Yeah,
which we
he-
just glossed right over.
Yeah.
Thought we were doing a deep dive on this.
Yeah. So then
My
he
fault,
he
guys.
pees out he puts the fire out by peeing it out.
Yep. And yeah.
And he gets congratulated by the firefighter. Meantime,
Just
Rosie
6,000 gallons.
Rosie fought and killed the evil brewmeister.
Killed, but that's also the spirit, like
Shocks him.
sends so that big map they have with glowing cities. Rosie pushes him against the map, and then the spirit supposedly electrocutes him and like
Shoots light
sends light
through him.
through him,
Right.
as one does.
Which I feel like that's something to the way that they had like the
end is
the way,
so loose.
The way they illuminate
the movie is just falling apart.
The wires
like
and stuff
3 times.
reminds me of when like they freeze Han Solo and carbonite. It's like the
what's
same
it?
kind of effect.
Yeah,
The way the light like kind of goes
shoots
through.
through
Yeah.
And kinda
No,
similar-
not when they freeze
similar-
them. When they take them out of carbonite.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yes. And like the lights shining out. Yes. Yeah, they're using the same that 80s effect at that time. So then the movie is like hanging on by threads at this point.
I think it's doing great.
Yeah, I mean, there's plenty of gags, but the plot, I should say, not the movie, the plot. So then everything is good, right? They've saved the day and it can end, right?
Wrong.
No, Chris, wrong.
Because I'll tell you what happens right before everything starts going bad for the bad guys. They do ship out 2 full box trucks,
You know what? Great for them. If they're the marketing Mitches, they've sold a shit ton of beer.
Sure.
Sorry, Serge. But 2 semis
And
of
fresh.
That's a
beer,
lot. That's a lot.
That's
I mean,
a big,
I know that
that's
people
a big
drink
sale.
People
and
drink
honestly,
a lot.
I understand them not wanting to call it back because, even if it's a little off, that's 2 semi trucks full.
You got to be thinking about your ROI. You got to be thinking about recall costs. You got to be
Right.
thinking about all the cost of goods that went into it, and you're like, well, is it worth it? You got to weigh.
Yeah.
You got to do a lot of analysis on that.
And it's Oktoberfest.
Yeah, well, I was going
Right.
to say, 40 years ago, I don't know how Oktoberfest was viewed. It seemed like it was an Oktoberfest party, so this is probably
July.
July
June,
8th.
maybe.
Or was it, September 19th, and then no respectable brewery would ever have their first batch of Oktoberfest? Or was it not even an Oktoberfest beer? Was it just
It's
regular
probably the
beer?
last batch where they're like, if this doesn't sell, then we got to buy it all back.
Right.
So it's going to this party. So if
Sales told us
this
they
has been
could
on
sell.
shelves.
They-
It's been on shelves since July.
We all
and
agreed. We
this is
all
the
agreed
last
to
one
12
going out.
turns. We
Yeah.
all agreed to 12 turns.
Right. And you can't go out. You just got to be the first.
Can we discount it? No. You cannot.
It's bad for the brand equity.
Yeah.
So, so they've got a dilemma because all these people are going to be drinking the tainted beer, but Doug McKenzie.
But how is it instantly being served?
What do you mean?
No, listen. If you have state-run liquor stores, that's the only place you can buy beer.
Oh,
It has to go to a distributor first.
FIFO.
Right? Well, obviously that too, but it seems like the beer goes from the brewery to the Oktoberfest celebration the same day.
Obviously, they hotshot it. Back in the 80s, you could hotshot that
because there's no paper trail.
Guys,
exactly.
they get around that.
Because it stops at the distributor's warehouse first.
Also, they're self-distro.
No.
That's why they have the truck with the kegs that they drive into the thing. Why would else have
They
that?
donated that beer because, remember, they said all beer is free.
Yes, it's true.
So when you donate beer...
Wow.
Okay.
It's donated.
Right?
Sorry.
You're right.
I forgot about that Canadian
There are no
loophole.
flaws. That Canadian loophole. So they start to drink it, and
no, they don't start to drink it.
Not yet.
I mean, they're
They're
consuming
consuming.
it. Yeah.
Oh, sure.
There's a dude doing a headstand drinking a beer,
Yes.
which
Oh,
any
yeah, you're right
Oktoberfest
there.
that I go to this year, I'm going to say it's not authentic because there's not someone on
No
their head.
headstand beer drink.
Yeah.
And
Revelry
Or
has
John
begun.
Denver being played.
Right.
And what's the solution to this?
They send another just bizarre turn.
This is the most.
They
Maybe the most
send
bizarre.
the best part of the movie.
Hosehead.
That is given away in the trailer.
They literally
Shows the
give
entire scene.
Bob and Doug McKenzie show Hosehead the dog.
Yeah.
They don't even. They also spray him like a skunk, which they don't
we skipped
show.
over. So Hosehead's the
no.
hero in
Yeah,
so
you're
many
right,
ways
you're right.
because Hosehead gives the disc
Yes.
with the evidence
Yes.
of
To
the brewmeister
Yes.
and
To the
the
detective.
brother-in-law to the detective because he just drops it out of the window and then rolls away.
and then rolls
Up the roof.
away up the
It's just
roof.
insane. Also love that. And then, so Hosehead's the hero in that situation because it absolves the McKenzie brothers
Yes.
of any wrongdoing. But then Hosehead saves the day by being painted and then
They don't show them painting it.
I don't show them painting.
I rewound like 15 minutes before because I was like,
Yeah, I was
kind of
kinda
zoned
doing
out
other
at this
stuff,
point,
and I'd be like,
and I was like, when did they paint this dog?
So they give Hosehead, they literally pull out a map, like a printed map, and show Hosehead which turnpikes to take. And then he starts running because they say there's all the beer and sausage you can drink. And he runs and then
take any of the turnpikes.
And then just flies.
Yeah, just
literally
takes off.
and flies, and even has a red cape like Superman.
Yes, which is also like timely.
And then
Kinda like
he
the Planet of the Apes.
rips through the Oktoberfest tent, scares everybody away.
No,
they think,
you're skipping over the fact that
What?
the green screen in this was like
so good.
so awesome.
Yeah.
The dog's
It's a
just laying down.
dog who's laying down Sphinx style. And then at one point his cape falls off.
And he looks back at it.
Yeah, it's so good.
They kept that in.
It's so good.
They kept that part in.
It's the best part.
Because they keep they'll be like, this is what's going on at the Oktoberfest. Oh no, are they about to start taking over the world? And it's like, don't worry, Hosehead's on the way. And then it just shows Hosehead just laying down.
Laying down in the middle of the
The
air.
most docile looking dog on the planet.
And then he lands and scares everybody away because they think he's a giant
They're like,
skunk.
oh my gosh, that's the biggest skunk I've ever seen. We have to cancel the party.
Which they don't show, like the stripes for the skunk getting painted on this dog.
No. No, they don't show it at all.
But he's just on the table eating sausages, scaring people as a skunk.
Was that a thing in like
Movie
the
over.
80s though?
Yeah.
Like
The movie is over.
Well, no,
Well, yeah, pretty
not
much.
pretty much. But the brothers come in and they're like, what are you doing with all that beer? Like, well, that's the tainted beer that has.
Also,
mind
the
control
brothers show
problems
up
in
like
it.
5 minutes later.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
We could have brought
Could've
Hosehead in the
we could've
car.
just walked him over.
And also, Rosie is now in a blazer and has like a lapel with like
Right.
With the
Because
rose.
he's
with a
quoting
rose
them.
in it.
That was,
Quoting someone.
but that was to show that the mind control thing is a drug that only lasts so long it can wear off.
Got
and
it.
so the brothers are like, well, then we'll destroy the beer, and they don't destroy the beer.
They drive it home.
They drive it home.
And I think Doug McKenzie, Dave Thomas, does get in that truck and drive it.
No, he does 100% drive it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you notice that too?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Is that the one
Like
where
a-
he's like,
like an
oh,
18-wheeler.
It's a 10 speed.
He's like at the 10
Yeah.
speed. It's like 5 speed, 10 speed. What's the
Yeah.
difference?
So he knew how to drive that truck because he drives it away.
Yeah.
Which I thought was a little impressive. I was impressed by that Dave Thomas got into a big
semi
truck and
actually
a
drove
I guess the
semi and drove it
Teamsters
away.
weren't as prominent 4 years ago in Canada.
Yeah,
Well,
right.
when it's part of the scene, maybe you're allowed to do it. I don't
Sure.
know.
Oh, and they're also given full-time jobs at Elsinore.
Yeah.
Before they go, say, you guys have full-time jobs,
Right.
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 for life,
Because
presumably.
these characters were perpetually unemployed.
Yes.
Yes.
So here's something I learned.
Yes.
Police vehicles in Canada in the 80s were yellow.
Yeah.
Like taxi cabs.
Yeah, they look like taxis.
Why is that?
Some were black, but yeah, many were yellow.
A lot of them were yellow. Black meant like you were in charge, I thought.
Got it. The
Yep.
detective, maybe.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sorry, Chris. I didn't mean to
No,
interrupt you.
you
It was
didn't
the thing I
interrupt me at
kept
all.
every time I kept seeing. I was seeing the yellow cop cars. Like, why?
It's
Why are
probably
they
because they
yellow?
were late to the automobile game because they relied on horses so long.
Did you notice that?
So they were like, I don't know what color it should
So
be.
Rosie
I've
or
never
one of
seen
them-
a yellow
They
horse.
bought used New York City taxis.
stole Did you pick up on the one guy? He had like a sweet Honda Civic hatchback.
Is there any other kind?
And the detective goes, Japanese. They make everything these days, or something like that.
really?
You notice
Well,
he said
that was a thing in the 80s. They were making all the electronics.
It is
in
funny
cars.
because I saw that car and I was like, man, that's a sweet car. It was like a pristine, like early 80s Honda hatchback. It was
Nice.
a pretty sweet little ride. And then, they commented on it. It looked way nicer than those crappy big American cars that everyone was driving around in. Except for the sweet-ass like Lincoln that the Brewmeister drove around in.
Oh yeah,
That was pretty
cool.
That was pretty cool.
Oh,
So anyway, the
when he
movie's
was,
over.
Like, trailing the high-speed police chase by I don't know, 15 yards.
Yeah.
Just like
And then has the most pinpoint accuracy, shooting from like 100 feet away.
Yeah.
Like with the
him and the dart gun.
slowly driving away, or no, actually, kind of squealing out driving away.
Also, they're
Yeah.
like, she's like, about to talk to the cops. She's like, "What happened?" And all of a sudden, dinks. Oh, she fell asleep again.
Yeah.
Not like, oh, there's a dart in her neck. That's so weird.
The Brewmeister
Dart in your neck, man.
yeah, the Brewmeister was definitely had superhuman abilities to do that stuff. It ends as it starts with a little bit of the Great White North show. They come back
for the credits
at the very end for the credits. Doug McKenzie does mention. He's like, I thought it was a pretty good movie. And then Doug goes, there were some plot holes. He does say that. Yeah. So I think he was acknowledging it. And then the movie's over. I also forgot to mention that there was a classic of the time, the original song made for the movie, which is very much of like an 80s and 90s thing.
And
nowadays
that's the only song.
Yeah,
in the movie,
right?
Yeah,
there was a soundtrack released, which was that song, and then mostly
the score,
and some of the score, and then some bits.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well,
it was also a great. It sold well.
Like, really,
it was the last album the two of them released. Technically,
that makes sense.
That opening song was garbage.
Right. Also, there's a great song called "Strange Brew," which nowadays they just like let's just like work that into the movie, but
that'd be slowed down in the trailer.
Yeah.
So what do you guys think of the movie overall?
I love this movie. Like I'd seen it as a kid, but it's so much funnier now. Like
I think it's funny that you what you said about Hamlet, because it makes so much sense. Like the first half hour, I think is definitely the best. There are some great bits later on, but like the plot is the best, I think, in the beginning.
Right, and so like to reiterate, like they hired someone else to write a movie for this like hot commodity that was like they had sold 3 million albums, and they told him they wanted it to be Hamlet, and the guy just basically wrote Hamlet, but with the two of them as Hamlet, and they're like it's a little straightforward. So Dave Thomas started rewriting from the beginning, and then Rick Moranis was like, okay, came in 15 pages later and was like, okay, we'll write this, and then they're like, oh, that's good enough, and then they just kind of like tagged the ending.
You imagine doing that with your first feature-length movie?
I mean, it had to have been different then, where there wasn't like an algorithm. You didn't know what people wanted to see. Like this movie made a bunch of money. It was a $5 million movie and made $8.5 million. So like it was like a success, not like a crazy success.
This
but
movie
it made
cost
money.
$5 million to make.
Yeah, in the 80s.
Are you thinking more or less?
Well, I mean, a lot.
Way less.
I feel like a lot of.
Well, that's also marketing budget and stuff. So
a lot of that had to have been spent on the special effects.
Well, they spent
towards the end of the movie when he's like writes on the wall like. I don't remember exactly what he says, and then underneath it says "nice effects," eh?
Yeah.
Like in like, so
we spent $45,000 rebuilding a beer store that wouldn't let them into it, so that's where part of the budget went.
Sure.
Now.
Also, it would be so dope to walk into a store and you just say your order, and then someone just yells it on intercom, and then 2 seconds later it's right there.
It through the thing.
Right.
I mean, some of the budget also probably went to paying SCTV because they had exclusive rights to all of their like anything they were going to do, and this was an MGM movie. So like part of it was the controversy of SCTV's producer was not going to let them make the movie.
Got it.
So I'm sure
that's
part
cool
of
of them.
Yeah.
Cool. It's interesting. I kept thinking about how you couldn't and why you couldn't make a movie like that. Now, I mean, I think that the approach to beer in that movie is something that you just wouldn't see. You just wouldn't see now. I think it would be. I don't know. I don't know. Like there hasn't been.
I think you probably could.
You could
maybe. Like
maybe
it's almost like the use of beer is tame in this. It's just a plot device, not like like you said. They never act drunk. Like nothing ever.
The guy drinks
happens.
6,000 gallons
Does
of
anything
beer.
ever happen?
He bloats up to the size of an entire tank, and then he's fine.
Yeah,
afterwards.
there's no positive or negative
right
repercussion except him getting
Having
to
to
piss
pee,
out,
yeah.
right? Of them drinking beer, which it must be intentional.
Yeah.
It's just like they're just always drinking beer. They always want to have beer. They love hockey, and
They're
like,
simple
that's
guys.
it. They like hockey and beer,
Yeah.
and that's it.
Donuts.
I
And
just
donuts.
Back
I just
bacon.
only kind of like the movie.
Yeah.
I think I actually like talking about the movie way more than I liked watching it. And I had a similar, like, that's kind of my first reaction when I first saw the very first Austin Powers. Like, I walked out of the theater being like, that movie was terrible.
Really, I watched it,
And then my
loved it.
friends and I, who I saw it with, we all agreed that movie was terrible.
What?
And then Monday at
love that
school,
movie.
we started talking about it, and they're like, "Oh, but what about this scene?" And you're like, "Okay, that scene was good, but God, that movie is terrible." And then this other scene too. So it's like, it's almost like, even more so with Strange Brew, the individual like parts I think are greater than the movie.
I agree.
Like I don't think I'll ever sit down and watch this front to back again.
But I think that is a
But-
sign of like actually a very funny movie where you're like, and like a well written, like not this is like well written structurally, but like the jokes are well written where like you like talk about them again, you're like, oh my God, that was like so funny, and it's like so subtle in the delivery and so
that's the
absurd
thing,
in the
yeah.
delivery too. Like subtle and absurd,
And,
it's hard to do.
And it's common, it's probably way more common to feel that way about a movie when it is a spin-off of a improv show,
Right.
or like
Right.
a sketch comedy, right?
Right.
Like Austin Powers is the same
Right.
thing.
Like-
Like they know how to write skits and sketches. An entire movie,
Right.
not so much. But
No, the plot was not there. I think I thought the devices and the themes were really funny, like how the guy hip checked the doctor to save them. Like that little element was, I thought, really funny. And it was the subtleties. Like if you're just watching it casually, you'd be like, this movie is the worst.
Yeah.
But then when you see like how the brothers, it's all about the brothers.
Yeah. Well-
like their dialogue is like without it's like 9/10 of the movie.
I also think like the portion that we know they wrote and like the intricacy of like they made this dumb movie and then that led to them feeling bad for these kids that they gave them money and that led to them doing this like that like
that's the best part of the
thoughtful
movie.
plotting.
Yeah.
Like if they had actually written the whole movie, like if you
Could've been
know
great,
the movie
yeah.
Adaptation where at a certain point it's like the brother starts writing the movie, it becomes a shitty action thriller. Sorry, Serge. Like it like that's kind of what this movie feels like, knowing in retrospect that like it was just this screenwriter who wrote Hamlet with them in it, and they were just like, okay, we're kind of done writing, because at the end it was just like there's just like plot points happening that aren't really
Right.
as like intricate to the characters or the story that were happening in the
where
first
did
like
that
8
skunk
minutes.
come from?
Right, right, and then like a world in 1983
Right.
where it's just like, well, I guess we forgot to explain the skunk, and,
Right.
like, not
Right.
not figuring out like, oh, we got to
Or
show
like,
them painting the skunk.
Oh, we could call them and tell them not to do this party with this beer, or we have to have our paint our
Right.
dog as a skunk and then the dog
Right.
flies
But
in.
that stuff like wasn't honestly as funny to me as it was to you guys, like Co's head like flying. I like the little stuff where like Rick Moranis is playing goalie and they all 5 of the other team because the organ just
yeah, I would
crashed
say
into
the-
him.
the organ
and he
is
when he
why.
says, "No way, you guys were in the crease." Like that's like that to me, like the little lines like that was like my favorite part of the movie. When he was, or like them acting like brothers, and Rick Moranis being nervous, and Dave Thomas being the older brother, telling him to like shut up and stuff like that. Those dynamics were hysterical. I
Yeah.
mean, I honestly,
They are
I would like
really
to
funny
watch
together.
them do improv as those two characters. That
Good
would
news,
be
there's like a
hysterical.
There's a
whole
whole
TV
album.
show
Yeah.
and an album of them doing that.
Yeah.
I haven't seen any of it, so I guess if anything, that's kind of what I came away with. I'd want to listen to them, maybe listen to that album and watch some of the shows.
Yeah, and this is like a really good example of like when improv is good and two people are really good and they do it together for a long time. They develop these like characters from working off of each other, and the whole movie, if it works at all, works because of like their relationship and like the characters that create
Right.
a relation to one another.
Right, exactly.
And even like the world that those characters are in is like, hey, these are the most stereotypical Canadians that you could possibly think of.
Right.
You know, too flunky, whatever.
Always wearing
mid 20-year-olds
wearing hats, big like puffy hats with the balls
which
on
they
top.
they call toques. I don't know if that's really a thing.
Oh, is that what toques are?
Yeah.
Got it.
So like that's a big thing on the album, and they're always wearing those toques. So
Right.
You don't know how old they are. You don't know how
Right.
long they've been unsuccessful.
Right.
They live with
They
their
could be
parents.
22. They could be 45.
Exactly right. It's like kind of all kind of up in the air, but they've created this environment over time where it's like, well, that all that stuff doesn't matter as much as their hijinks. Because the way they did the credits was like Bob and Doug McKenzie's Strange Brew. It seemed kind of like they were trying to make a Cheech and Chong kind of like film series is the way I read it. Was like, okay, Cheech and Chong's Nice Dreams and all Up in Smoke and all that stuff they made. I was like, oh, they're going to try to do this with Bob and Doug, and then they did one. That was all they did.
Got it. You know what? That's
Typical Bob and Doug.
That's very insightful, Buster.
First time for everything.
Yeah.
Well, there was supposed to be a sequel to this.
Oh.
That was going to take place in like the 90s, and be filmed in the 90s, called Homebrew. And the conceit of the movie was that the brothers were garbage men, and Dan Aykroyd plays a character named Rick Ripple.
Oh, so it's different people. Dan Aykroyd. I'm sorry.
Dan Aykroyd plays a character Rick Ripple who knows who they are from like this story, and tries to convince them to cash in on their fame in the beer brewing industry by hopping on this new microbrew trend.
No way.
Oh,
I
boy.
swear to God, this is a true
No
thing.
way.
Yeah, they had a script written.
Oh, boy.
And then financing fell through.
Man.
Thank God.
And they didn't make the movie.
Thank God.
Or we would have another episode of this to do.
Exactly.
Thank God.
And I think we've had. All right, so let's go around. How many bottle caps do we give Strange Brew? Mike, you go first.
4.8 bottle caps.
Whoa.
I really enjoyed this movie.
Okay. Big Nick.
3.2.
3.2. Okay.
Al
pretty
Gash
good.
White, nice.
Exactly. Buster.
Yeah, my only thing about this movie, like, I guess it's more of a sign of the times, but I thought the way that they like handled the like loony bin aspect of it, it was aged very poorly.
That's
Oh,
true.
really?
Yeah.
I mean, they were like
4.7.
stammering. They were like stammering like idiots.
Zombie, yeah, whatever. So
Yeah, they were also drugged.
sure, we'll blame it on that.
Yeah.
Yeah. They were
But they
drunk and drugged.
somehow were like some of the best ice skaters and hockey players you've ever seen in your life.
Right.
So
Well, they're just Canadians, so
Sure.
it's just assumed.
it's in their blood,
Maybe they were all NHL people. You never know.
possibly. Like
NHL.
like Jude LaRose.
So bottle caps.
4.1 for me,
Ooh. Okay.
which is a good, not great hazy double IPA in my opinion. But
Oh. Okay. See, I'm not
Fair.
as tuned in. I
Best
think I'm
saison.
a more harsh critic because I thought it was pretty good. I thought it had some great lines. Worth watching. I think this is a movie worth watching like at night by yourself if you're like looking to do something and have a beer and want to watch it. In that context, I'll give it a 4 at that point. So
It's pretty good.
yeah, pretty good.
Yeah.
I think I'm being generous.
I think we all are. And you know what? I think
anchored it
it's
pretty high.
not about the destination. It's about the fun you had on the journey along the way.
There you go. There you go. Yeah, no, they were great. Yep, smashing that. That's good.
Who's running security for this place?
Exactly. All right. I think we are about out of here. But thank you, everyone. Any final words before we get out? Anyone? No. All right.
If you
Take
watch
off.
the movie and you like it, send us a letter.
Yeah, please do. Thanks.
Remember this is what we wanted. Remember this is what we said. To never be heard or seen from again. Remember this is what we wanted.